Hello guys, let's talk about HTML canvas graphics. So the HTML canvas element that you can see on the screen that I have written here is an element in HTML that is used to draw graphics on the fly using JavaScript. So the canvas elements here is only a container for graphics, but you must use JavaScript to actually draw the graphics on that particular canvas. So Canvas has several methods for drawing paths, boxes, circles, text, and even for adding images. Okay, so a canvas is simply a rectangular area on an HTML page. And by default, when you create a canvas, it will not have any border, okay, and no content will show on the web page. So as you can see here, I have written canvas, nothing is showing on the web page. But what if I have to add maybe some attributes here? I will say an ID, my canvas, and then I will add the width to be 200. Let me say maybe 400 here, and the height will be 300. So these are some of the very important attributes that you can use with the canvas. First of all, you always need to specify the ID attribute here because that is going to be referred to in our JavaScript. And I'm going to show you that in just a couple of minutes. Another important attribute here is the width. And the height as well is very important to specify because they are going to be used as attributes to define the size of the canvas. So even when you put the width and height like this, nothing will show on the screen because, as I said, by default, a canvas element will have no border and no content. So if you want to show the border, that will also define the dimensions of our canvas, we need to use some CSS properties. So let me just use the style attribute here and then use the border property to assign some border and say 1 pixel black. So if you say black like this, now you will see the canvas showing on the screen. All right. If I increase the height, it will increase as well. I can also increase the size of my border. If I say 2 pixels like this, for example. So this is how it's going to display, or maybe increase that to 500, 500 here as well. I want it to be a little bit bigger. Yes. So this will be like this. Oh, the height is not working because there's a typo here. So height HT like this. Yes, so if you say 500, that will be like this. Let me just decrease that to 300. All right, so that's it. So we have created a canvas. So as I was saying, it's just a rectangular area where you can add your circles, the drawings that you need. And in order to actually create your drawings, we will need JavaScript code. Okay, so that's what we are going to do just now. So the first example here is going to be that of creating a line. So we will say here, drawing, let me write it well, drawing a line like this. Okay, so if you want to draw a line, you need a script. So we will use the script tag. Let's close it here. So definitely inside our script tag, we will write some JavaScript. So the first line of code here is going to be that of declaring a variable, and we will use the JavaScript method called getElement by ID, like this. So here we are going to specify the ID of our canvas. So as I was telling you, this ID is very important because that's going to be the element that is going to be referred to in our script. So here we need to specify that my canvas ID here. Yes, so what we are saying here is that we are selecting this particular canvas. The next line of code is also going to be a variable declaration. So here we will say that on this particular canvas, we want to draw 2D drawings. So we will use the variable C here because C is selecting the my canvas here, and then we will say get context 2D, 2 dimensions, like this. So once this is done, so as I was saying, we need to create, um, we are going to create our line. So in order to create a line, let me just put the comment here. In order to create a line, we will use this variable that the method move to. So this is going to determine the start of our line, the starting point, 0, 0, and then semicolon. All right, so these parameters here are representing coordinates. So this is coordinate for the x-axis, and this is a coordinate for the y-axis. So if I come down here and say ctx that line 2, this is going to be used to determine the ending point of our line. So let me say 250 for x-axis and then 150 for y-axis and then semicolon. Still, no line is going to show on the is going to draw on the canvas. Why? Because we need this particular method called stroke. So if I say stroke like this, semicolon. Yes. So now you can see I have a line showing. So the line is starting here because this is the x-axis 0 and y-axis 0 as well. And it is ending here because this is actually for the x-axis 250. For the y-axis, this is 150. All right. So what will happen if, for example, here I said 100, you will see where the line will start. It will start here because of what I just did here. All right. And if I also maybe say 100 like this, it will start here. So depending on the requirements of your website or the application that you are building, you can play with these parameters as well. Yes, so let us now maybe change here. We say 500 x-axis and 0 here. So you see how the line is going to show on the canvas. All right, so this is how you actually draw a line. So now the next thing we will do is we will talk about drawing a circle. How do you draw a circle? So it's pretty much the same logic here. So we are going to use different methods. So if you want to draw a circle, let me just write the comment here, drawing a circle. So we will still use this variable for the context. So this context and begin path. So this is going to begin the path, semicolon, and then context, arc. Yes, so open the brackets. So in the brackets, I'm going to add parameters. So the first parameter here is going to be that of the axis, the coordinates. So I would say 250 for the x coordinate and 150 for y coordinate. And they are going to determine like the central point of our um, of our circle. And here, the third parameter is going to be the radius. It's going to refer to the radius of the circle. So if I say 100 like this, and then the fourth parameter will determine the starting angle. The starting angle, so here I'll say 0, and then the ending angle will be 2 times math that pi, like this. Yeah, still we will not see the circle here because we still need to use the stroke method. So we'll say ctx that stroke like this and semicolon. So now you can see the circle showing. So as I was telling you, if I changed, the parameters here, I said 20 here, you will see that the circle will display like this. All right. So let me put it back here. And as for the radius, like if I increase the radius to 150 here, now it's going to increase the radius and the diameter of the circle. You see how this is showing. If I change maybe the start angle here to 10, for example, see how the circle will show. Say 100, it will show like this. All right. So let me leave it like this. So this is how you create a circle. You can also draw a text. How do you draw a text? In using HTML canvas and some JavaScript. All right, so the same logic is going to apply, but we will still use different methods. So here, I'm first going to define like the font. So here, if I say 25 pixel font, and I want maybe Arial font like this. And now I can say if I want to display some text, so I will use the method fill text equals um, not equal, maybe fill text inside the brackets here. I will say how are you, like this. So if I write this and I need to determine the coordinates, okay, to define where this particular text will show on the screen. So if I said 10 for x-axis and 20 for y-axis, now you will see how this will show. So it will show here. Okay, I can also say 100 for x-axis and 200 for y-axis, or maybe 150. I wanted to show here 100 and 150 here. How will this show? Yes, so this will show like this. Okay, so this is how you create, you can draw some text. You can also draw some stroke text. Okay, so if you want to draw stroke text, what do? You can use a different method. So you will say CTX that stroke text like this. And then in here, you will simply say stroke text and then determine some coordinates. So for X, I can still say 150. As for the Y-axis, maybe 200. Yes, so now you see how this will show here. What if I say 170 like this and 250? Okay, it will show like this, 240, 220 maybe, to 190. Okay, so this is how you display some stroke text. All right. Now the next element that we can draw is the linear gradient. So we are going to create a rectangular, and inside that rectangular we are going to display some gradient color. All right, so how do we do that? So the first thing we will do is to create our gradient. Okay, so we will need a variable. So I'll say variable here. Let me just put some text, some comment maybe, and I will say creating a gradient like this. So first of all, we are going to declare a variable. So we say variable and we'll call it GRD for gradient. And here we'll say CTX for context and use the method create linear gradient. All right. And then inside the brackets, we need to specify some parameters. So like here, say 0, 0, 150, 0. So these are parameters that are going to specify the gradiency of the color. Okay, I will come back to these parameters later and change them a little bit to see how they will affect the gradient color. So once this is done, we now need to create um, some, we're going to create a rectangular and fill it with the gradient color. All right. So let's say down here, we say GRD. Now we will determine the color that we want to show as gradient. So we say add color stop 0, comma blue like this, and GRD that add color stop and 1, comma white like this. Yes, and now we can also move to the next part that is going to be that of creating the rectangular so that we will see the result on our canvas. So we will say here that we want to fill the rectangular with gradient. Yes, so how do we do that? So down here we'll say context CTX, that's the variable. So this particular variable we will say fill style like this, comma equals GRD, comma, and then down here we'll say CTX that fill rect. So this is going to create a rectangle. Where do we want the rectangle to show? Let me first say 10, 20 for the y-axis, and then the dimensions. If I say 200 like this, comma, and 100. Yeah, so now you see where the rectangle will show. All right. So if I decrease maybe some dimension and say 100 like this, it will show here. I can also choose to display that a little bit farther like this, say 200 for X. Yes, so it will display here 150. It will come down there. All right. So this is how you can display some gradient colors in a circle, in a rectangular, and all of that. So I'm going to comment all of this. Comment this as well. Okay, we have already seen how you can create a line, a circle, and all of that. I just want to increase the size here. So what if I say 48 like this? And 20 here. Yes, so it's going to show like this. Yes. Let us increase that little by little. 150. If I increase here, is it gonna work? Yeah. So here, as I was telling you, these are some variables that we can use. Like if I say 100 here, see how this will show 100. Yes, this will show like this. 10 here. So this is going to determine how the gradiency is going to show on the rectangular. Okay, like if I say 100 here as well. Okay, so that's how this will display. Yes, let us just work with that. So this is for the linear gradiency. What if we want to create some radial gradiency. Like this is linear gradiency, some radial. So we will say maybe down here, variable, say grd equals ctx that create radial gradient. And in here, I'm going to specify my parameters as well. So here I'm going to have a lot more parameters as well so that you will see the result on the screen. So this here is going to determine how, the gradient colors will show and all of that. And here still I'll say grd add color stop. Let's say grd2 here and grd2 color stop, so 0 comma, and here which color are we going to use? Let's say tomato, for example. Okay, so we will do this, copy, paste down here, and this second one, as usual, we'll say one here, and maybe white, or maybe if we say black, what will happen? Okay, let's just see what will actually happen. And then down here, we'll say ctx that fill style equals grd2 semicolon ctx fill rectangular. um, Let me come here, let me just reduce this. All right, so for the x axis we can still say 20 like this. Here will be 100, and then 380 comma 80 like this, and then semicolon. So now you see how this will show here. All right, so let me just say 180 like this. Yes, so this will show as you can see on the screen here. 140 maybe. Okay, let me just tweak that a little bit. All right, so say 100 here. 120. And yes, so this will show like this. So as for the radial gradient, I can play around these colors. So if I say like this, So it will show like this. Yes, sir. So, all right. So, you can play with these parameters in order to determine how, the gradient color will show on the screen. Yes. So, what else can we talk about? We can talk about how to draw an image on a canvas. How do you draw an image on a canvas? Let's talk about that. So in order to talk about that, we are going to change our code a little bit. All right, let me come here. So what we will do, we will first add an image. So I'll say img src, say alt, and we'll say alternative image. Here I will say style, e style style equals. Inside I will say width. Okay, for the time being I'll say 100 pixels, and height. For the time being I'll say 100 pixels as well. All right, so this is done. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a button here. So I'll say button, close the button here, and I'll say click to display the image in the canvas. Yes, so this is going to be my button. Okay, I want the button to come down. No, I need to close the image tag here first. Yes, so my button will display under my canvas. All right, so let me copy the link to my image. So here I'll simply copy the link and come and paste it here. So what we'll do, I will comment these lines of code here because we will not need them for this part. Okay, comment, 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 and comment. So what we want to do here is that we want, when we click on this particular image, we want this on the button, we want the image to come and show in the canvas. Yes, that's what we want to do. So let me just first change the way my image has to display here. Maybe the width will be 300. This will be 200. This is a little bit better. All right, so how do we do that? When you click on this button, we want this image to also display in the canvas. So we will need some JavaScript as well. Okay, so here, instead of writing directly the declaration of our variables, I'm going to put these variables in a function, and I'm going to call this function my canvas. like this. Okay, so let me just copy and paste these variables. Yes, so these are my variables. Next thing, what should I do? The next thing I will do is that I will declare another variable, and I will say variable image equals, I will use the JavaScript method get element by ID, and here I'm supposed to use the ID of the image. So here I have my image, it does not have an ID, I need to give it an ID. So I'll say ID my image. So I'll come down here and say my image like this. So we are selecting this particular variable. So once we have done that, this particular variable, we will do ctx that we will use the method draw image, and then in the parameters we will pass this variable that we have declared here. So the variable is image. So the variable image here is going to select this particular image and draw it on the canvas. And now we can specify some other parameters. So if I say 10, 10 like this, semicolon. All right. So as I said, we want that when the user clicks on the button, that image to display. So what we will do is that we will come in the button element and say on click, we want to use the function called my canvas, like this. All right, so now when I come on my page and click here, there you can see the way the image is displaying in the canvas. Okay, so now if, as you can see, when you click, the image is going to display in its original dimensions. So if you want to maybe specify the dimension of the image that will display in the canvas, you can add some parameters here. Like let's say if we say 50, 50 like this. And when I click, now you can see how the image will display in the canvas. Okay, so we can pretty much work with that. Like if we say maybe uh, 480 like this, and then let's say here, how did we do that? And 280. So when we come and click, so this is how the image will display on the canvas. See, yes, so that's what I wanted to show you guys. So this is what HTML canvas is, how you can use that, how you can draw some graphics, using the canvas and JavaScript and all of that. I just hope the video was informative. If you still have questions, don't worry. I'm going to make some other videos where I will give you much details on some of the elements that we have talked about in this video. All right. So until then, don't forget to like the video, to write comments, to share, and also to subscribe to this YouTube channel for more videos like this one. And we will meet in the coming videos.